Yeah.
Yes, Arian. How are
All
you,
right.
my friend?
Great. Now I see why there's been no transfer business. Daniel Levy's too busy making content.
Apparently, I read a
So,
comment today saying the biggest winner of today was Levy's bank account.
oh no, seriously, seriously. After that Djed Spence performance, honestly, I think just go get that little low ball offer from Milan because we don't even need another right back. Just keep it simple. Look, today I think the thing with Spence that always kind of bothered me under Andrews because when we got him, I kind of looked at him as like this almost. I remember when we got him, I kind of compared his archetype, not his level, his kind of archetype to like Hakimi, where all he does is he's like a power forward on that right side, kind of just goes down, not necessarily very technical, very physical player, if has the pace, has the strength, is going to go down that right side and cut it back. That's kind of what I thought his game was. But today he showed that is not always capable of. And yeah, of course it's Hearts. It's like the third best team in Scotland, which is just not incredible. But today he showed a lot. I was surprised to see that. I think the big thing is that I think he played the inverted wing like right back better than Porro did in that first half.
Yeah, he did.
And that could partially be because I think Hearts also made a significant amount of subs, but you can't take anything away from Spence. He was wonderful. Probably the best player, or no, top two, top three at worst. He was great today. Got the goal, got the assist, made so many chances. Just I've never seen him like play an incisive pass like that. So maybe having his loan called back for his attitude problems, maybe stuff like that is a wake up call. We never know. He's a young kid. He's very impressionable. Something might happen, and suddenly he's like, you know what, I got to put it together. And if this game was anything to go by, and to be fair, his other loan spell, I think he is getting it together. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it, and I hope it continues because, I welcome those performances. It was wonderful today.
Yeah, it really was. A performance that I want to talk to you about in the first half, Archie Gray. A lot of fans waxing lyrical about his performance today, not only because of the touch that he showed, but completely playing out of position at centre-back. I mean,
I think
just
everybody
talk to me about his performance today.
I think everybody seeing that lineup was kind of just like, wait, what? Like, we had no center backs. It looked like something you play on FIFA. You're like, I need more pace on that back line. But he gets there. I mean, like you said, every single time this guy goes in for a ball, zero doubt, zero. I'm not thinking there's a chance that it's not going through. Like, I knew that was his ball. I didn't think for a moment he wasn't going to get to it. The composure, the technical ability, under pressure, 2, 3 players, doesn't matter. He will find a way to turn it into space. It doesn't matter if that space is behind him or in front of him or to the side. It doesn't matter. He's going to find a way to see it, and he's going to get that pass off. The only time that it ended up being anything not good was when Austin kicked it out for a corner in the first half, and that wasn't his fault at all. He was under pressure from 3 guys, and Austin panicked. And again, obviously, it didn't end up being a big deal, but like the amount of composure he has at 18 years old was phenomenal, and like it just makes me think like. And you saw Basuma. I think he kind of had an on and off game when the position that Gray would be playing. There was one instance where like he got just muscled off the ball, and the Hearts went on an attack. And I was just thinking, dude, Gray. Imagine you have Romero and Van de Ven, whatever behind him, dude. The way Gray can turn with that ball, that first touch, like what he does is he kind of like when Kulusevski first came to Spurs. What I think he was really phenomenal at was he was able to change the direction of his body so well with that first touch because he's slow, so he needs to have that ability. Ball comes in, he little drop of the shoulder here, turns, goes away, defender's gone, and that was what Gray was so good at doing on multiple occasions at center back. And in that midfield pivot that he's going to be playing, that is going to be absolutely priceless because he's going to be able to speed up our transition so much, and I cannot wait to see him do that.
Yeah, another player we got a first look at today was Lucas Bergvall in that second half. Did end up grabbing himself an assist for Mikey Moore's goal and a peach of a cross for that for the last goal as well. What did you make out of what you saw from him?
I think that he was my favorite player to watch in that second. I'm maybe not necessarily the best, but I think every time the ball got to him, I was like, something's about to happen. Something's gonna happen because he was taking it to basically, and he didn't really care where he was going with that ball, whether it was to the right, to the left, to the middle, whatever it was. He would just find some sort of space and get that ball progressing, and it was awesome because every time, it doesn't. First assist, second assist, just creating some sort of chance, making something happen was what he was so good at. And I was watching with my dad. He's like, this kid with the golden hair. He's something. And I was like, yeah, we just got him. He's incredible. And he was like, in that first half, I think like maybe it's the first half of the first half, Kulusevski was kind of disappointing with kind of what he was doing because he was supposed to be what Bergvall was, where every time he gets to the ball, he kind of creates like this little vortex around them where you'd never know what's going to happen. And every time Bergvall got the ball, it didn't matter what direction he just came from, he was just going to go in a different direction and make it happen anyway. And I loved seeing it because something just kept happening with him. That's why I feel like it was just constant wave after wave after because it was Bergvall. Because we have obviously these wonderful academy forwards, but they were constantly being serviced to because Bergvall would find a way to get the ball in the final third. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and we got to talk about the special Mikey Moore out on that right-hand side today, man. I mean, I thought he was going to make an impact today, but I didn't think he would make this much of an impact. I mean, the way he took his goal, beating a few players in the box, shifting right, shifting left, banging it into the far corner. I mean, this guy is special. How much of an impact do you think he can have in this coming season?
Look, they say football goes in cycles, right? And I think we've gone through a cycle where right now we have a lot of wingers in this game that are robotic. They're not exciting. They're not individualistic. They don't really drop their shoulder. They're kind of these athletes.
You're starting to sound like Bielsa.
Right? I guess, but like I think there's merit to it, and there's a lot of athletes that they're just athletes. They're not very much footballers, and I think we're kind of seeing the emergence of a newer generation in every position. Like I said, you see Archie Gray and his ability to drop his shoulder. You see Bergvall and his lower center of gravity, and you see players like Lamine Yamal, who's incredible at 16 years old. The technical ability he has is better than most people in their 20s right now because of the way football was coached just a decade ago. And I think Mikey Moore is a product of the same thing. These football goes in these cycles of being very negative and very exciting. I think right now we're in the emergence of an exciting generation. I think Mikey Moore is at the pinnacle of players who are able to play this way because what he has in terms of ability is something I have not really seen in someone that age, like besides Lamine Yamal. The way the ball is glued to his feet, right? It doesn't matter. His hips and his shoulders tell you a different story, and that's the thing, right? It's incredible. I'm watching it. I don't know what's going to happen. I can only pray for those Hearts defenders. It's wonderful to watch, and he made an incredible impact today. I cannot wait to see. I see why they're all so calm about his development because we're all panicking. Send him on loan, do this. No, he doesn't need anything. He is good the way he is, and he's going to only get better. He's wonderful.
So, Arian, there's a fine balance, I guess, in terms of what we do, in the upcoming weeks in the transfer window and looking at, these youngsters. Everyone's been waxing lyrical about leading up to today and seeing how they perform today. So how do we strike that balance between buying players who are ready for the first team now and giving these youngsters a pathway to really show what they're capable of?
Look, I think we're about to have double the games this season if everything goes right, and it should. Like we're supposed to be having nearly double the games. We're in a European competition. We're not going to hopefully be getting eliminated so early in the cups, and by virtue of that, we should be getting in a few more new faces. Like even in the Europa League, I'm sure Romero can't even play for 2 of those games, so you're going to see like Radu Dragusin come in. Hopefully, you see Phillips come in for a couple of games. Hopefully, you see maybe Spence get a couple of games. Maybe if we're leading against some of the better teams, you're going to see more. You're going to see Lancashire, all these. So there's always going to be opportunity for them. And also at the end of the day, like they have time ahead of them. I don't think we need to worry about the game time we're getting them so much. It just needs to be enough. And also there's loan spells. There's a million ways we can worry about them. We need to worry about raising the floor of the performances of this team. I don't necessarily worry about ceiling because I think we've seen the ceiling of Spurs. We saw it in the first 10 games last season. We have a very high ceiling. My concern is the floor because when we play bad, we play horribly bad. And I think really in the first 20 minutes today, not to be negative, but I think in the first 20 minutes, you kind of saw that. We were very poor in the first 20 minutes, in my opinion. I think Kulusevski was off it. I think Basuma was really not able to get through those channels. I don't think Madison was really on it. I think until Kulusevski kind of got that, little nice combination with Madison to end up getting that goal, it was really poor before that moment. And after the floodgates sort of opened. And I think right now we need to worry about when that happens, when that is the performance, because sometimes those 20 minutes end up being the entire 90 minutes, and we saw it against Newcastle last season. We saw it against we saw it against Fulham last season. So we need to worry about that. And I think to remedy that, because most of the problems were offensive, we need at least 1, ideally 2 elite forwards. Because as much as I love Lancashire, as much as I just wax lyrical about Mikey Moore, we can't be relying on these players, not only because they're young and inexperienced, but because we see the effects of relying on these players early. Like you look at Pedri at Barcelona, he's riddled with injuries because they've been overplayed. These kids, like there's a problem with overplaying them also, from like a physical aspect. So we need to be proactive. We need to be proactive in the transfer market. We need to protect our players, and we need to give them support. Because also, if you want to think about the youth development, everyone's going to develop better if you have good players around you. If we get someone like an Ivan Toney, do you really think Will Lancashire is not going to learn anything from Ivan Toney? Like, do you sincerely? Of course, he's going to learn a million things about Ivan Toney. For example, how to take the coldest penalty on the planet, right? So stuff like that is stuff I think we need to really look into, because there's more than just like goals and wins that you get from buying players. It's an entire culture you build around the club. So I think most importantly, if we do nothing else this window, we need 1 or 2 forwards and a fullback. That's the minimum I'm going to accept. And I hope we see it pretty soon, because what I don't want is for us to get that, but way too late. And then now suddenly we're playing catch up while everybody else is caught up.
Last question before we let you go. You said that Spence was probably in your top 3 players today, but who impressed you the most?
I think, like I said, impressed me the most, I would say Gray, but my favorite person to watch was Bergvall. I just loved seeing the ball get to him. Every time I was like, something's going to happen. It was awesome. I loved it. I want to see more of it. It's like crack.
Well, you'll see it more on Saturday, Arian, and hopefully we'll get to hear your opinion on that afterwards. So, Arian, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.